Yeah, my name is Mark Holmes, and I do some law stuff. People ask me, what do you actually do? And I try to tell people, I try to solve problems for people. Most of the calls I get off of the internet, usually Yelp and stuff like that, are people who don't need a lawyer. They're people who need help solving some problems. And if they can do that with a lawyer, that's great. But most of the time, they just need help. And if you're in a business as a professional and you have any really deep feelings about human beings, you want to help them. And I think that's probably, as professionals, what we do. That's our highest calling, to help people. And I have more fun doing that than just about anything else. I mean, I do the legal beagle stuff, and we're going to talk about legal beagle stuff today. But it's more about helping people. And with that in mind, I like to talk to people about what we do, and it's specifically Don and I, because we're both legal professionals. We basically get people where they need to go. We get things regulated for them. And that's why we're a great resource, because most people who call us up for the wrong thing. I have people who call me up for criminal and family law and personal injury and all these other things that I don't do, but I'm more than happy to get them to the right place. And for me, that's more important, because you can't have people with those kinds of problems wandering around without help, because it gets really bad. So that's really what we do. And when you think about what Don and I are in terms of branding ourselves, we're the guys who are local who just try to help people. And I think in today's world with the internet and all of this branding and marketing and other crap that people use, that's probably the most important marketing tool. Because if you're going to be in a community and you're going to invest in a community, you have to really care about the people who are in your community. And I think Don and I demonstrate that every day, and I know the other professionals and business people in this group demonstrate that every day. That's what it's really all about. And with that in mind, I want to tell you about some new stuff that's happening in employment law. How many people here have employees? Raise your hands. Right? Yeah. How many people know what the minimum wage is now? $10 an hour, right? Everybody goes, oh, that's a lot, because when I started working when I was 16, it was $1.65. Yeah, and Shakespeare got $1.55 because he started the year before I did. Like Eugene, yeah. So just to give you some perspective, right? The exempt status. Anybody know what exempt status is for overtime? Exempt status now is $41,600. So if somebody's going to be exempt from overtime, and you're going to say they're administrative or managerial or all that supervisory stuff, you have to basically make sure you're paying them $41,600. Everybody goes, God, that's a lot of money. Well, here's something that'll open your eyes. I went and checked. A living wage for a family of 4 in Orange County these days, any guesses of how much a living wage is? That's just getting by. $66,500 a year. That's to get by. So just saying. Just saying. Right? It ain't cheap to live in Orange County anymore, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so that's one thing you have to be aware of. Another thing you have to be aware of, and I mentioned before, is that they have the basically the new SB 358, California Labor Section 1197.5, basically is the Gender Pay Inequality Act, right? And that's basically trying really hard to bring this disparity between female and male wages into line, because as we all discussed earlier, on average it's 78 cents on the dollar that women earn. And when you go into the numbers deeper, you look at African American women and you look at Latina women, it's as little as 54 cents on the dollar. So it's really got to be addressed, and the California legislature has done that. So they have put into place basically measures that make it very, very onerous on employees who discriminate on that basis. Here's an important thing, right? Just make sure, right, that you understand that if somebody's doing basically the same job, they should basically get the same amount of pay. And anything after that, if you have any questions, you can come and talk to me, and I'll help you sort it out. Do it all the time. But that's a very important change that came up, and I think people ought to be aware of it. Another one is, I just thought this was hilarious. Cheerleaders in the state of California are now employees. You cannot be a cheerleader and be an independent contractor anymore. You have to be an employee. So I thought that was kind of important. I don't know if you're aware of that, but a lot of the sports teams had a lot of people. What was it, Paula Abdul? She used to be a Laker girl.
Yes.
That got paid almost nothing to be a Laker girl. Can you imagine that? Now at least they have to get the minimum wage, right? There's some other things that I thought were interesting. There are new protections for employees who have to take time off for child care and what they call kin care, and that's something you should be aware of. It doesn't really come up unless, of course, you don't have an employee handbook. If you don't have an employee handbook, you need to come see me, and I need to get one for you, because you really have to have something that's updated that you can reference and say, okay, can they take time off for that? Right? Because guess how complex it is in terms of when and how and who and all that sort of stuff is involved in taking time off. It's really complex. And essentially, you don't want to tell people, no, you can't take time off when actually they can. So that's important. Another thing is, how many people here can recite chapter and verse all of the meal and lunch breaks that should be taken by hourly paid people? Right?
Are you kidding?
Nobody. I can't. I have to go look at it. It's that complex. That's why we write it down and go, okay, all right, did you get to, okay, you got to have the break, okay. Very important. What is the biggest claim that's made with the Labor Commission? You didn't get your meal breaks. You didn't get your little timeouts, your little 15-minute breaks, right? You didn't get overtime.
Timeouts.
Okay. Your little time. No, you need to have a timeout. You do. And it's really, really important, and people forget about all of that, and it's not a good thing. So essentially, one of the things that I do, and Emily's familiar with this because we've been doing it with the Chamber, is we try to put these programs in place, right? And it's the program I put together is rather comprehensive, wouldn't you say, Emily? Yeah. Oh yeah, it starts from the cradle and goes to the grave. Starts with the application, goes all the way to termination. And here's the thing. People who actually use this, right, Terry? Right? How many lawsuits do you have?
None yet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Val, how many lawsuits, dear?
Well,
She's got some of the orneriest people imaginable she deals with every day as her employees, right? But somehow this helps you come to grips with it. I actually had a client earlier this year had an employee threaten to kill him. Right? Because they had an argument about whether or not the employee had done something wrong in installing some product that they put in. Right? There were lawsuits threatened. There were actually people who were threatening to come over and kill this guy, right? And we resolved that. It didn't go to court. Why? Because you have this regime in place. And what's the biggest problem? Is that you put this regime in place and you don't get any of this stuff signed. Because there's an application, there's an offer letter, there's an employee handbook, there's an arbitration agreement. There's all these things that you should have them sign. If you don't get any of them signed and people show up and they say, hey, we have this lawsuit, what can we do about it? I usually have to start out by saying, well, we're going to have to get a lot of money together because it's going to cost a lot of money for me to defend you in the lawsuit because you didn't get any of these things signed. But people who get all of these things signed, for some odd reason, they don't end up in lawsuits. And that's a good thing. Why is that a good thing? Because you, as the business owner or operator, can spend more time on your business rather than dealing with all these horrible labor and wage and employment issues. You see? That's the whole thing. And so actually by putting in this program, which we do on a flat fee basis, I put up a little schedule, you actually take away business from me because I make a lot of money on litigation. It's a lot of fun to do litigation. But guess what? You don't make any money and you're distracted from your business. So if you know people who have employees or if you know people who have businesses with employees, if you can get them to me, I can help them focus more on their business rather than on these onerous labor claims and these unemployment claims. And that's really what it's all about, trying to focus on business so you can grow your business and become more profitable. What do you think? Good deal? That's all I got today, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you so much.